it is now a decision of the governor. It's no longer my decision. It is no one's decision. It is a decision of the governor. I would be less than honest with you if I did not tell you that I believe that project is coming. It will be a reality, and that we ought to prepare our minds for it accordingly. Figure out how we're going to move forward together. And I think that's the spirit that I want us to proceed in, and not in a combative spirit. There will be opposition, and I respect that. This isn't about running someone over, but I hope if there's nothing else that you've gleaned from me today, is that I'm not unreasonable, I'm not insensitive, and I've given a lot of thought about these issues and the quality of your lives that will be profoundly impacted and affected by these decisions.
Okay, but there's more in the, I mean, there's letters where we think we can work together.
I'm sure, and I look forward to it. I take this to heart, and we'll have our days where we agree, and we'll have our days where we disagree.
It's an open line. It's an open line.
That's correct. I would give you my number, but she's recording it. Something tells me I'm going to see this on the internet.
You want to shut it off, Mary?
Did you guys have any?
Yeah, Peotone, you got...
Well, in our office, one of the things that we hear a lot about are the regulations that seem to continually flow from DC, from the EPA and other agencies. And, that's, I know, a frustration from many of the farmers in Cook County and Will County.
I appreciate that. I'm sending a letter to Lisa Jackson from the Environmental Protection Agency in a couple of days, as soon as I get back to Washington, and tell her the idea of regulating farm dust is absurd. Yeah. Now, I must tell you that on my way home, I spent a lot of time getting farm dust and other things out of my hair, but that seems to be a hair product issue and not farm dust. Okay. So there's a bunch of ways of looking at this. It doesn't have to be, I think that's ridiculous. And as we look up and down the field and dust is coming off, and one of the gentlemen said, that's the farm dust that they're talking about the EPA. And I said, that's just ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And so I hear you. I feel you. And I share your concern. What I can also share with you is that as Americans, we have a process. And that process should go through Congress, which is a hard, slow, and laborious process by design. And the extent to which Congress is not functioning, it puts the administrative agencies in a position to function. If the Farm Bureau were lobbying Congress to say we don't want to have more regulations in this area or in this farm bill, that is the appropriate place to address it. So if the will of the American people through Congress and through statute says we're advancing this through Congress, it's being advanced to the Senate, and if a president chooses to sign it, that's a huge process to create a law and to create a regulation. But the extent to which agencies, agencies do have the effect, their regulations do have the effect of law, can bypass Congress to get things done, then it just seems that it's outside of the scope of the Constitution, of the constitutional processes designed to go slow.
There you go.
You know, members of Congress introduce thousands of bills every year. There are 435 members of Congress, 100 senators. All of them got their own vision of what America should be. They introduce thousands of pieces of legislation a year. How many bills does a president actually sign to become law? On average, less than 60.
Really?
Less than 60. Because the process is designed to be hard and slow and not dump bills and laws on all the American people. It's not by accident. That's by design. And how many regulations are coming from the administrations? Both Democrat and Republican administrations? Oh, just thousands of them. I mean, wait a minute now. It's like a way around Congress. And I think we ought to get back to the regular order of business. Do you agree with that, Rick? Sure.
All right, Rick's on our side.
We haven't heard anything from you today, Rick.
Rick's with us.
Let me tell you a little bit about Rick. Rick was a reporter for the Daily Southtown in 1995. He covered my campaign. And as a result of interactions just like this one and covering them, Rick decided to leave his profession as a journalist, the dark side, and come over here to the side where there's light, and has served as our district administrator for most of those years and recently ascended to the position of chief of staff. So Rick Bryant is second only to the congressman in our office. And so you will also leave today with his number. No more talking through the Kankakee Journal. No more talking through the Daily Southtown. No more talking through the Sun-Times.
Oh, there's your gun.
Please call the horse from the horse's mouth. No more theories. First time I'm out here actually having a chance to talk to Miss Deutsch in front of her family and neighbors from the horse's mouth. Not what someone else interprets the horse to be saying. I'm not Mr. Ed. Talking horse.
And Congressman,
Yes,
we
ma'am.
appreciate that. Having you out to the farm has allowed us to open the line of communications, and it's our hope that you're going to be a proponent on these issues. And it's going to be great to have someone with your urban background in this area because it's an unusual partnership. And
really
we look
is.
forward to it.
You know,
And we thank you for being out here
Thanks.
and bringing Rick.
Thanks.
I'm bringing Rick.
I had to haul him kicking and screaming. Get up, Rick. We're going to Peotone.
He gets a donut. You can have a donut for that.
Thank you for that. Let me just add something that I think is equally as important. I told you we're going to share. We're going to learn a lot about each other, and we're going to have a lot of. It's good. You know, it's a really divine challenge. It's really a divine challenge, I think. And so, for praying folk, I think and I don't want you to think for a moment that I'm pandering when I say praying folk. I've not had to stop and actually think about it until I thought about Mr. Johnson's prayer the other day, and I actually gave it some thought. So I'm not pandering in any way because I'm actually you're gonna hear me say this everywhere I go, very publicly, whether one of these days you support me or not. I just want you to know I'm thinking about it, and that helps me finish the American story or add to the American story in my own mind. What was I gonna say? No, I know exactly what I was saying. So this district, the 2nd district, is a creature of the civil rights movement in the 60s. I am here as your potential representative because of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, and the public accommodations bills, but primarily the Voting Rights Act, that told legislatures all around the country in all 50 states that you have to draw congressional districts in a way that allow a minority a chance to get elected to Congress or to the state Senate or to the state House. And just as I am coming to the understanding of the rural area as your representative potentially, you too now will come to the understanding of those who are protected by the Voting Rights Act, because the legislature has historically left them out of decision-making processes. And I find that equally as fascinating, that it has got to be a two-way street. It has got to be. In other words, it's not all the estate tax. Those guys got lots of money, and it could affect the quality of service, government services that affect these urban dense areas. But at the same time, the estate tax must recognize that there is a huge swath of Americans that don't fit in that category. Therefore, there is no one-size-fits-all on the estate tax issue, and maybe there should be an exemption for people at this level. Does that make sense? It isn't either or. No. And I can't afford to have you fighting for guys at the top of the estate tax when you're not speaking about you, when you're speaking about them. Because you have more in line with the rest of those Voting Rights Act designees in the 2nd Congressional District. Bill Gates does not live here. Warren Buffett does not live here. You and I are in this together. We really are in this together. And it's not, we want the estate tax, and therefore I'm voting for this guy because he's talking about, no, that guy's talking about a estate tax for people you will never meet unless you hear the caveat that specifically says you, and trust me, he or she ain't gonna say that. That's our problem. That's our problem. So I appreciate you very much for saying that, and I, just brought a little north, south in my answer. Okay.
Congressman, do you want to, we never got inside. We had donuts for everybody
We can go in the
inside.
shed. We got
Hey,
donuts
come on,
and drinks.
come on, let's go. Come. I appreciate that.
We can talk better with food in our mouth, can't we?